Take off from a PDF CAD floor plan in MasterPiece, Part 1. Contract flooring organisations may receive floor plans in electronic format. With MasterPiece, the plan can be shown on screen and the take-off of shapes and dimensions done by tracing over the image. This can greatly reduce the time for take-off. When coupled with MasterPiece's planning and costing capabilities, the productivity of a commercial or new build flooring operation is transformed. This video is a training view to familiarise with the take-off process. It assumes that the features and benefits introductory video for the commercial version of MasterPiece has already been viewed. When MasterPiece starts up, it shows the All Jobs view, which lists the jobs currently held on the system. To start a job, click on the Start New Job button here. We may be asked what type of job this will be, and in this case we say it's a housing association job, and click on OK. We are now shown the contact details screen. For this video we want to get straight on with the takeoff, so we just hit Exit Guidance. Enter a customer's name, the minimum needs to create a new job, and then go to the Create Rooms view. We first select our PDF plan. Click on Add PDF on the toolbar. The selection panel then shows all PDF plans that we have in this CAD import folder. We select the PDF plan we want. We will select this PDF plan here. On selection, a preview is shown on the right-hand side of the screen, and the system's Guide a Green colour scheme kicks in to guide us as to what to do next. It's guiding us to Add PDF. So click on Add PDF, and the PDF is then displayed on screen. At this point, the entire PDF is being displayed. We need to set the scale for the building before we start tracing. There are two ways to set the scale. If the PDF shows a scale, for instance this one shows a scale of 1 to 200, then all we need to do is enter this scale. So we would click on the Set Scale button, which is greened up for us, and enter the scale as 1 to 200 thus. Note that the system automatically reads the sheet size for the PDF and shows it here. However, for this training exercise, we will assume that the PDF does not show its scale. And in this case, we would choose the other option, where we will mark 2 points on the PDF and enter the distance between them. However, before we do this, we should zoom in on the plan so that the no measurement portion of the PDF fills most of the screen. So we cancel on this panel and zoom in using the box command like so. We now again select to set the scale, and again choose the second scale setting option and click OK. We see the following message advising us how to set the scale, and click on OK to this. Notice that our cursor now turns to black crosshairs. This is to allow us to accurately scale the building. Click with the mouse in the top right hand corner of the building, and notice that we then get a circle. Move to the opposite side of the building and click with the mouse again. We now have a red line which depicts this length on the building. Enter the length as 36 meters here and click OK. We are prompted with the following question panel. This asks us to characterize the overall layout of the building by saying whether the plan has just horizontal and vertical walls, or whether part of the building is on a diagonal. Our choice for this example is that there are horizontal or vertical walls on this PDF, and there may be diagonals as well. This is the most common situation, and by making this selection, we ensure that the system will snap to horizontals and verticals as we do the tracing, which is what we want. We are now asked whether this part of the building is on a diagonal. However, we will say that the building just has horizontal and vertical walls, i.e., no part is built on a diagonal. We won't look at setting up diagonal angles until later on in the video. The scale has now been set and the guide green has turned to a pastel green to show that this has been done. If your organisation works in feet and inches, then we would be able to set the units to imperial, but for this video we will be using metric. We now want to see just the room that we wish to trace around. So again, we will use the box function to zoom in on this part of the PDF. We will now select the room we want to draw by clicking on the New Room button here. Select Restaurant as the name by clicking on it, and notice that our selection's short code is shown on the panel here. Click on OK. The restaurant name is on the screen, indicating that this is the room we are going to draw. There's a green dot I will start tracing now button which we click on when we want to begin tracing. Before clicking on this button, we may want to make some further adjustments to the zoom and positioning of the PDF, for instance using scroll by drag or the box command, but we are happy with the positioning, so we click on the I will start tracing around now. Click accurately on the corner where we want to begin tracing and trace around the perimeter of the room. Notice that as we click on the corners, the lines that have been traced turn red, so we can see which lines we have and haven't yet traced. When we return to the corner where we started, our cursor becomes a circle. It's useful to note at this point that if we don't like the line we've just drawn, then we can click the Undo button, and if we don't like any of the lines we've drawn, we can click the Cancel Lines Drawn button. Now click on the circle and the room will close, adjusting the last line that we drew to accurately meet the point where we began our tracing. The lines drawn now become pink, and the measurements are shown based on the scale we entered earlier. Notice that for a wall without a door, we have traced to the interior face of the wall. For a wall with a doorway, we trace to the centre of the wall. It may be that on first familiarisation, we didn't get our tracing quite right. For instance, we can see here that we should have started our trace around in the middle of the wall here, so that the final side will pass through the centre of the doorway. We always need to get our first draw points accurate because the final side traced will finish accurately on it. So we will select to delete the room and then select to redraw it. We trace it again, this time starting in the middle of the wall, and then continue, and this time we are happy with our tracing. We can see the final side now goes down the centre of the wall. We will now create a second room which is adjacent to the first. Click on the Name Rooms button and this time select to have two new rooms, a reception room and an office. When we have clicked OK, the short codes for the undrawn new rooms show in the rooms list shown here, and we can select which one we wish to draw first. Previously drawn rooms show in green outline, so that we can see what has been done and what is yet to be done. Before we hit the I will start tracing around now button, we will use scroll by drag to move room 1017, the office, to the centre of the screen. To do this, click on the scroll by drag button and drag the PDF image to the left until 1017 is screen central. You may then wish to hit the plus button at the bottom left to zoom into the office a bit. Once we are happy that we have a good expanded view of the room we're about to draw, we click I will start tracing round now and trace around the office. The outline of the office which we trace will be entirely independent of the restaurant outline. This is how we want it, because we want to draw around the inside face of the office wall. We don't want to include the thickness of the wall, which is common with the restaurant. We will now draw room 1019, the reception room. We get this room to the center screen using scroll by drag, and then the zoom plus or minus buttons as we did before. This time we wish to have the new room outline connect to the existing outlines rather than being independent. This is because the new room has a doorway to the restaurant, so the two rooms abut at mid-wall thickness. Similarly, there is a doorway from the new room to the office, so again we want the outline of the new room to connect to the office outline at the mid-wall position. Previously, when we were drawing rooms independently, this button was set to Won't Snap onto Rooms. But for the room we're about to trace, we want the tracing to snap to the corners of the already drawn rooms. So we click on this button to toggle it like so. We now see that the button says, Will Snap onto Rooms. This is the setting we want for tracing this particular room. We click on the I will start tracing round now button, and then click on the corner of the already drawn room that we want to align with. Because we are now snapping onto rooms, a green circle comes up to say that we will be starting exactly on the existing corner of the restaurant. This time we decide to trace anti-clockwise, and we get circles at points where we may want to align with existing corners. Note, if we find that two different snap points are close together, then you can zoom in while you are drawing, using the box command. We do this like so. And now we can ensure that the snap to is not to this corner, but is onto this wall where we want it to be. To complete the perimeter, we will then need to zoom back out and scroll using these buttons here, so that we can see the whole of the room again, which we are tracing. When we have completed the perimeter and clicked back on the start point, our room is completed. We can choose whether to show the PDF plan or not on screen by clicking on Hide PDF on the toolbar. This hides the PDF and shows only the spaces that we have drawn, so we can see what we have done so far. To show the PDF again, click on Show PDF. We will now go to the floor plan and see here that it shows the architect's view of the property as represented by the outlines drawn. We can see the outlines we have drawn, which are located in their correct juxtaposition because they have all been drawn from the same PDF. And if we drag one room, then all rooms of the PDF set drag together. If we rotate a room, then all rooms rotate together. The controls of the floor plan are the same, whether the rooms have been drawn freehand or by trace around. When we come back to create rooms, we find it as we left it. We may want to focus in on all the rooms we have drawn so far. To do this, we select to see All on PDF. We see there is one room of focus, which has a pink outline. The rooms which do not have focus have a green outline. We can do things to the room of focus. For instance, if we click on the blue plus, we get the Properties panel for this room, where information about the room can be entered. For now, just click Cancel to get back to the graphics. It may be that we want to do something to another of the rooms, and if so, we need to give that the room of focus. To do this, we click inside the room, the restaurant here, that we want to have the focus. The restaurant now has the focus as shown with the pink outline, with its dimensions shown. It may be that we want to not only select a room of focus, but to zoom in on this room to see it full screen. To do this, we click on the short code of the room we want to see in the listing of rooms at the right hand side of the screen. So if we want to see the office, we click on OF1 and the office is shown with the focus and fully zoomed in, thus. The stairways, we will probably find that we can't take dimensions directly off the PDF. MasterPiece's measuring from site facilities come into play here. We select Draw without a PDF image and select to have a bullnose, flight of stairs and a winder set. We dimension and link these up as we would in a retail context. If we wish, we can say the bullnose links up to the flight of stairs. As you will see, the winders get handled as a set. We just need to either use the default measurements already entered or modify these to be correct for this particular job. For this example, we will go with the defaults, which you can see here for the lowest winder. The winder set goes up to the landing, so we will make the link to the landing like so. We may choose to draw and dimension the landing freehand rather than using the PDF, so that we can readily include the additional carpet which goes over the nose of the riser. Our rooms are now all drawn, but they have been drawn with net measurements, so we now need to add their allowance. This is done in the same way whether the rooms have been traced using a PDF or drawn and dimensioned freehand. MasterPiece calls the process of adding allowance fixing, because once the allowance is added, the rooms are a fixed shape and ready to be planned. Rooms can either be fixed individually using the Fix button, or all the rooms can be fixed in one go by using the Fix All button. Click on the Fix All button and confirm that a 10 cm allowance is OK. We see that the rooms have now moved up from the unfixed listing to the fixed listing. Note that the room of focus is now showing with a light blue outline. This is the shape including its allowance. We will now go to the planning view and create the cutting plan for our rooms by dragging and dropping them onto the roll thus, and putting seams into rooms where necessary. The process of creating a cutting plan is the same when rooms are created by PDF trace round as for when they're created by freehand drawing and dimensioning. The techniques and controls for planning are covered in another training video and will not be covered again here. If you're unfamiliar with planning, then please contact MasterPiece. When we're happy with our plan, we fit rolls to determine the length. If the planned length is long, we can choose to split it like so, and follow through the guided save sequence, which makes the plan well presented for the installer. We will now go to the floor plan, where we can see our rooms with their pile directions and seam positions. Click twice here to approve the plan. Now that we have our rooms planned, we are ready to cost up the job. We would do this by selecting to go to the Accessories and Costing view. On arrival, we would select our material, select any accessories, and see the cost breakdown. However, this video isn't about costing. Costing features are covered in the introductory video, and more information can be obtained on request. In this part 1 video, we have looked at the basics of tracing round the on-screen floor plan and using the shapes created in the cutting plan. Part 2 of this video covers further aspects, including working with more than one floor plan image, for example, where there is a separate PDF for each level of the building, tracing rooms which have diagonal sides, and choosing which way to run the pile when a room has some diagonal sides and some vertical and horizontal sides.